The results of a perfect stroke.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Gloria Jean's Iwan Simonis Level Up, right here where we have a group of fantastic instructors and coaches. Let's see, we'll start off with Kim the Dragon Young right here. And then we have David Sapolis right there. David, if you could just, there we go. We have Steve Jennings right
Howdy.
here. And Randy, I always have a problem with your name. Is it Goettlicher?
You know, it's easy to pronounce. Go to the liquor store, get liquor.
That's what Ivan told me. Okay. All right. And
Well,
I wanted to introduce you, but please feel free to do a formal introduction yourself, and tell us a little bit about your business, where you're from, your certification, anything you'd like. Please take a minute to do that.
Go ahead, Pops.
Well, it's real simple. I started the PBIA. I started the BCA instructors program, the PBIA instructors program, and I'm also the committee chairman for the ACS instructors program. So I've been teaching for just 60 years now. So I'm a top level instructor. I've taught all over the world. And in my later years now, I've just settled in. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I'm busy every day teaching.
And you can be found, you can go anywhere throughout the world to go one-on-one and teach a lesson, correct?
Oh, one-on-one, or I wouldn't do that. It'd probably have to be grouped to pay for the expenses, but I have done that.
Okay.
I mean, I've been all over the world,
and
except for Russia. I haven't been in Russia.
I did make some cards, just so you guys know. I don't know how great they are. They were made within like 15 minutes for each of you. And on there will be your name, the name of your company, and how someone can get in touch with you. So they can always rewind back to it.
Very good.
All right, Steve, you're up next, please.
Well, I'm in this business because of Randy. About 25 years ago, I went to his school to learn the material and become an instructor. And I've sort of followed his lead. He's been a great friend and mentor to me along the way. I'm teaching. Well, I can always teach more. I'm ready, but I'm have relocated down to Central Florida. I live right outside of Daytona Beach, but I will travel. I try to stay in the Southeast, but if the opportunity comes up, I'll pretty much go where the students need me. So that's my story.
And what's the
And
name of
you're a
your
good
business?
instructor, Steve.
Thank you, Pops. You're a good mentor.
Well, we all have to
Okay.
learn from somebody. Mine was Jerry Bryson.
Well, it just keeps going downhill, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does.
All right, well, moving on then. We'll go to Mr. David Sapolis. I think we all know David as Blackjack
Random Thoughts guy.
There we go. I'm showing my age.
Yeah, my name is David Sapolis. I'm in El Paso, Texas. Former pro player. Played the game from every level, from the bar leagues to the pro tour. Didn't really make it well on the pro tour, so I decided I would use my knowledge and pass it on to other people, to use my gift in writing, and write some books. And that led into doing videos, and I've just remained relevant for the past 35 years doing this. What's wonderful about it is you get to go all over the place, teaching people, meeting people. I've met Randy, I've met Steve, and someday I'm going to meet Kim. And it's like a beautiful family. I've known these two guys for a long time. We're very good friends, and we're a community, and we help each other out. So
As it should be.
I love it.
As it should be. We should be a family.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And we have Kim Young over here. Kim, please.
Nice to meet you. So I'm Kim the Dragon Young. I live in upstate New York. I'm the proud owner of Dragon Billiards Instruction, which is one of the 6 PBIA accredited training academies in the world. I am a PBIA master instructor and an ACS level 4. And just like those guys, I travel all over the place. I do offer a lot of virtual instruction for people both nationally and internationally. And I got into this because I learned early on I enjoy teaching more than I like playing. So guys like Randy and Steve and David and Jerry Bryseth inspired me, and I hope to lead the next generation of instructors.
Kim, I like that comment. I feel the same way. I have more fun teaching than I ever had in competition.
The other nice thing is too, I can't lose.
Right.
I can't lose. If my students if they smoke me, I won. I taught them how to do that. So
Exactly.
There you go. That's a really great point. So one day you'll see Kim and I battling it out. Hello to Francis. Hello to Kyle. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We're going to be talking a little bit about fundamentals and a couple of other things. And then Kim is going to show us a thing or two. And you'll see how valuable each and every one of these gentlemen is to teaching, instructing, coaching. So I think I wanted to talk about fundamentals. And anybody who knows me knows that I could talk for a little while. But I just wanted to say that I feel as though my analogy of fundamentals is basically that I do not want to put a chandelier lamp on a table, a wooden table, or any table when the legs are breaking. So the fundamentals are basically the concrete or the setting of the home that you're going to be building upon. And I wanted to get a tip on fundamentals, one tip from each and every one of you, starting because we're in this motion, I can go back and forth. It doesn't make a difference. As I said, this is a round table in my personal opinion. Randy, can you give us a tip on fundamentals? Something that you think would be really important for people to know? Anything from dropping a shoulder to
I'm gonna start in general and let the other gentlemen come in specifics.
Okay.
Fundamentals is a pretty huge umbrella. I break fundamentals down into two areas: what we do behind the cue ball and what we do in front of the cue ball. Right? In front of the cue ball, you can go out and see right now probably 10,000 videos of drills, but you'll never see a good video of how to teach behind the cue ball. So we start all of our students behind the cue ball, meaning what is their brain? What is their body? They have to train them both before they can ever go out and expect to make a stop shot or a draw shot consistently. So fundamentals is a strange word. It covers about everything, but there has to be a place to start. You have to start with your students' brain and body. They have to know where you're going with this.
What do you see the biggest error in fundamentals to be in your personal
Oh,
experience?
that's real easy. Tight grip.
Tight grip.
Yeah,
Okay.
I go to a golf instructor. He tells me to loosen my grip. I say, I have a loose grip. He says, no, you don't. So here's a quick story, and I'll turn it over. My very first lesson with Jerry Bryson, about an hour in, he started laughing at me, and I said, what's wrong, sir? And he says, I'm not going to steal your cue. Why are you holding on to it so tight? So there's probably 6 primary errors that a student or any player makes. The first one is the killer. We call it the hand of death, and it's a tight grip.
Guilty. Guilty, something I'm trying to change. Steve, please. And I want to also say that Nate Mindham, hi to Nate Mindham, Jerry Equals Legend, and Dominic Dunn's watching. Hi, Dominic. Hi, Kyle. I want to let everybody know that you're noticed out
Hi,
there,
guys.
and we appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
All right. I'm sorry, Steve. I just wanted the audience to know that we're acknowledging
That's cool.
them.
We're good. Okay, I'll follow up on what Randy had. He's talking about fundamentals. We break it down into 4 different primary parts. Your grip is one of them, your bridge hand, your stance, and your stroke. I'll talk about, since he talked about the grip, I'll talk about the stroke, which has to be a consistent, repeatable stroke. And the goal of that stroke is to move the cue stick forward in a straight line. That's all we have to accomplish. And we do that through what we call the pendulum stroke, where we have the least number of moving body parts. And we teach SPF, which is 3 stops in the stroke motion. And those are, if you can get that part of it down and you can get a good stroke motion, limited number of moving parts, and just move that cue stick straight forward, guess what? If the stick's going straight, the cue ball's going where you're pointing the stick.
So we're talking about there are 2 reasons that you're going to miss: aim and delivery.
You either aim at the wrong place or you fail to deliver the cue ball to where you were aiming.
Amen.
I was taught well, Sensei Kim. All right, David, please continue.
Oh, that's some great stuff. I was taught a long time ago that when you're talking about fundamentals, the worst enemy of your fundamentals is bad habits. Okay. The game of pool relies on the fundamentals the same way a chain relies upon its links. And if you weaken one link in that chain is useless. and it's not going to do anything for you. So as we progress as players, it's some of us get comfortable, some of us think that we're doing something to help our game when we're actually doing stuff to harm it. And that's where we need to have somebody that's there to kind of look and double check for us if we can't do it on our own. And I think that's where an instructor comes in. You know, for me, fundamentals, you were talking about the foundation of the house. It's a foundation for your entire game. If your foundation is weak, anything that you try to build upon that is
Right.
also going to be weak. If you have a loose grip or a loose bridge and a tight white knuckle grip on the cue, it's just not going to work for you. Everything has to work. Like I said, each chain has to be strong.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well said, Blackjack. Well
Thank
said.
you, sir.
And Kim, please.
So like Randy said, the fundamentals is such a broad topic, and as Steve mentioned, we've got different parts of the fundamentals. What I want to talk about here is stance. I do feel very much so after teaching for a while now that so many different mechanical errors are caused because the person's stance isn't set up the way that they need to be set up. So I'm always looking for comfort, clearance, alignment, and stability. And if the person's feet are pointed in such a direction that their final stroke will be to the left, well, they're actually steering to the right to try and stroke straight. So sometimes just fixing that stance appropriately, getting them the correct distance away from the cue ball can sometimes be all you need to put the grip at 90 degrees versus forward or backwards. So everybody's built different. And while you can try to teach yourself stance by watching videos, and somebody's going to tell you, well, put your foot perpendicular to cue, and this is how you step in. Well, that might work for that person, but it's not going to work for everybody. So stand up to what David was saying, get with an instructor who can help you find the right stance for you, the way that your body's built, so you can have the clearance, not get chicken wingy, to try and find ways to get around your body and be aligned properly to the shot in the first place.
Yes.
Well said again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So fundamentals. So right away we go back that fundamentals is a broad subject.
Yes, it's definitely huge. But what I want to do is so there are some people who are watching this potentially right now and going, well, I can't figure out what's wrong with my game. I don't understand, and I'm doing all the things that I see on YouTube, or I've watched X, Y, and Z, and this is what I was told, and but each and every one of you are now giving somebody a free tip. And who knows, maybe what Randy said may work. Maybe what David said may work. Thank you, Timothy. Hi, Timothy. Nice to see you. Donnie as well. Hi, Ron. Nice to see you. Thank you for the stars. And then, what Kim was saying. I mean, when someone my size who's 5'2", 0.5, I'm taking the 0.5, 5'2.5", it's going to be very different for me than it is for someone who's 6'6". The table is yay high, yay big. It's 9 foot. It's not an accordion. So we're going to have that different comfort to us. So we're not all going to stand, exactly the same. So when people say, well, we want you to do this and we want you to have the cue exactly here, and this is where you're going to, we all have our shot line, and we know that I'm not going to get into that whole thing, but but when it comes to certain things, they have to remain the same. Other things, when we talked about comfort, those things can change because someone cannot get far down at 6'6". They don't have the same vision as someone who's 5'2" or 5'6" or 5'7". And I hope that I'm explaining this right, because this is my first time really doing it. But for me, I think that when it comes to fundamentals, I think people try to emulate so many others, and I'll just say Jason Shaw or this one or that one. And when they try to emulate and they're not built the same way and they don't have the comfort, they're probably never going to be able to grow.
So
Well,
true.
don't forget that they probably aren't thinking the same way either.
There you
Some
go.
people are wired a lot different than other people, so copying somebody is maybe not the answer. I like what Blackjack said. You need to put eyes on the student because the student can't see themselves.
Right. And that's
And-
why I like recording from two different angles.
Yeah.
I like the back angle and the side angle. If
We-
someone's going to do something like that, especially the back, because you could actually see anything from here. When I recorded myself, I don't think I could watch it more than 2 times before going, oh Lord, what
Yeah.
have I done for how many years?
As time goes on, your mechanics are going to change. Your body's going to change. Your mechanics are going to change. When I was a younger player, my arm moved a lot differently than what it moves today.
Mhm.
I had a discussion one time with Randy, and I was telling him if I was going to build the perfect pool player, okay, the most fundamentally sound player I had ever seen was Jeff Carter.
Oh, amen.
And I would watch him and I would study him and I'd see the way he addressed the ball, he was always that perfect distance for each and every shot, the perfect distance in and perfect distance to get that ball to move. And I saw that there was a tree there coming out of Wisconsin, and Randy told me the story about that. And a lot of the players up in that area have those sound fundamentals because there were such good instructors up there. And that's what I wanted as part of my game. And I was that player that was always out there trying to search, saying, okay, I'm going to try this and I'm going to try that. A lot of times, you develop those bad habits, and we don't have habits. Habits have us. They're very hard to change. And if you're that player that's out there, the best thing I can tell you to do is if you're 6'4", don't try to copy Francisco Bustamante's break. It's not going to work for you. You're going to hurt people,
That's what I noticed. Comparison really, we talk about money being the root of all evil. It's actually greed, but comparison is something that will just take every ounce of confidence you have and put it aside. I don't want to be the next, and I love you, Kelly. I don't want to be the next Kelly Fisher. Should I ever try to accomplish, being up in the WPBA? I want to be the first Gloria Jean. And I think that so many people want to emulate and be somebody else, that they lose track of what their true gifts are in the game. So
I want to throw something in here
yes,
because
please.
very often I see a student that comes in and I can always tell. Sorry, you guys still hear me?
No,
Yeah.
yes.
I can always tell when they're self-taught from YouTube and where they're watching those videos, because they come in and they get this stroke that looks like this. You guys ever see this locomotion stroke?
Yeah.
And that the first thing that runs into my mind is they've been watching all those Efren highlight videos.
Pump stroke.
While there's nothing I'm going to take away from the GOAT, the one thing I will say, if I was a student coming up and wanting to emulate a pro player, while I might not watch all of their mechanics, I'd be looking for somebody with a beautiful backstroke pause and the player that looks exactly the same, whether they make the shot or miss it. That's the one I'd want to be watching.
Allison Fisher.
There you go.
Karen
Fundamentals. I want to see something repeatable, consistent, and easy to do, like what Steve was saying with the pendulum stroke, less moving parts. I'm not, Efren can give me the 2 out. I'm not going to take him, but I don't want to do that stroke. That's just me.
Yeah. Another example is, I've seen pro players that don't have perfect picture perfect mechanics. Perfect example, Alan Hopkins, Mike Davis. Mike Davis, if anybody tried to correct his stroke, he'd never make a ball again. What he does is it's repeatable. It works for him. It's consistent, and he plays beautifully. And don't get trapped into thinking you have to look like these picture perfect. We're not robots. All of us are different. We're built different. We move different. We see the shots different, and we're going to deliver that cue different.
Well, that exactly what Steve said. Our whole goal is to move our cue stick to our target, to a straight line to our target. So how we do it, Blackjack, is 35 million pool players. How about 35 million different ideas on how to move that cue stick?
We teach our students. We're very well. I was well trained. Okay, you take each student as they are and help them develop into the best that they can be. Okay, but we have to, while we're treating them individually, we also have certain basic fundamental things that we will incorporate into their game, but we'll incorporate it in such a way that it's comfortable and works for them. So your stroke may look different from mine and different from Kim's and everybody else, because like you say, we're all built different. Randy, one time I remember him saying that, he used to kind of idolize, and I think still does to a point, Buddy Hall.
Oh yeah, great
And,
mechanics.
But
I can't play his pace, but I'd sure like to copy his mechanics.
Yeah. So we take bits and pieces of a lot and we put it together in an individual package for each of our students.
Yeah, amen, Steve. So I think, Gloria Jean, when a student arrives at our school, we have a questionnaire they fill out. And then the last question is, why are you here? What are we going to do for you? And 95% of our students write the word, I just want to be consistent. That's I can build if I know what the heck I'm doing. Right. Well, my answer back is real simple. Simplicity is consistency. Blackjack said it. The more you put in there, the more you got to control. So keep everything simple. So anybody listening, you got extra movements, your brain's got to control those extra movements, and under pressure, what do you think, Kim, under pressure, where do they go?
Old habits.
Oh, God.
Those habits will always control you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And each of you that, well, I'm not sure about David, but
I am.
No, about so it's
David's not sure about David.
No.
Don't rehearse the curse from Kim. Is that correct? And then Steve, you can't, what is yours? You can't fix come on, Steve, help me out.
You can't fix what you don't know.
No, he says you can't fix you can't fix a $5 stroke with a $300 cue. What is it?
Oh, God.
Help me out here, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah. $1,000 cue doesn't fix a $5 stroke.
There you go.
Okay. And then Randy's is, let me see if I remember, perfect practice makes perfect, because practice doesn't necessarily make perfect. And David, do you have one?
I steal from Pops. That's what I do. That's
okay.
I haven't charged you
from
for
them all
it
the time.
You buy supper, so I like that. See?
Okay. All right. Oh, someone's asking. Our job isn't to pot balls. Our job is to send the cue ball where we tell it to go. And
No.
it's the cue ball's job to pot the ball.
That's mine. Okay. Cue ball will never do anything that you don't tell it to do.
There we go.
That's
Amen.
mine. There you go.
Amen.
So that means we control it, not the cue ball. I mean, we have to control ourselves. And David, I probably heard this from you 100 times. If you don't control yourself, how the heck can the cue or the cue ball go someplace?
Yeah.
So it's all about what we
What
do.
is more important than cue ball control? That's where the mental game comes in.
How about
Amen.
you ball control?
Amen.
Control yourself.
You ball.
Can I pick Kim's brain for a second? Only because Kim was the one who had taught me, and I had learned a lot about consistency. And consistency is probably the thing when I was being introduced to becoming a PBIA ACS instructor. He really drilled into me the importance of consistency, and I think that's why I'm so hung up on it. Obviously, every portion of the game, every bit and piece of the game is really important, but if you don't have consistency, it's really difficult, I believe, to get anything else. So
Especially under pressure.
yes, exactly. Like you said, you resort to bad habits. So Kim, can you tell me, there's something that Kim taught me that I found extremely valuable, and he would talk to me about consistency. Could you talk to us about, for the viewers out there, about the wallet? The analogy of the wallet, please. I know this one very well, but I like when he tells it. I don't tell it well.
Well, I'm not sure that I tell it so well either, but we all have habits. I mean, the reality, I mean, Randy, you're almost as old as I am, and the one thing that I would say, without even really knowing you, is that when you've been brushing your teeth all this time, you've been brushing starting on the same side of your mouth, and you probably take just about the same number of strokes every single time. It takes you the same length of time to brush your teeth every single day. You don't think about this stuff. It's all muscle memory. It's just ingrained. This is the consistency. And like what Randy was saying, the number one thing that people look for with an instructor, at least in my experience, and it sounds like from Randy's question here too, is consistency. So it's all about reducing variables. The more simple that we can make things, the more consistent we can get. And when I leave the house, I cannot remember ever leaving the house, if I'm wearing a pair of blue jeans, without my wallet. And if you wanted to rob me, all you people that are listening, I don't know where you're from, hopefully not upstate New York too close to me, but if you want to rob me, you want to reach right back here. That back right pocket, that's where my wallet's going to go. It goes in my pants the exact same direction, right? There's all these different ways I can turn. It always goes in the same pocket. It always goes the exact same way. And if I was to get in my car and that wallet wasn't leaning me up, causing me to have a bad back while I'm driving, I would know it. I would know it. So the same thing is going to happen with things with pool. If you're going to chalk, then chalk every single shot. If you're going to chalk the same number of times every single time. If you're going to put the chalk down on the table, put it on the same side of your body every single time. These are triggers that start off the rest of your routines. And those are just some examples of ways that you can breed consistency by doing exactly the same thing every single time, so that when you do make an error, it's easier to figure out where the variable was. Was it aim? Was it delivery? Did I forget the backstroke pause? What was it? Because all of these other things were exactly the same. Oh, that's the part that was different. Let me fix that.
Boy, well said, Kim. Well said. I hope
Yes.
somebody heard that.
I hope everybody heard that. I hope that this is shared and shared and shared, and I hope that and I hope that people really ingrain that in their minds, because the less variables there are, the less room there is for error, and that's all you have to know. It's
Please don't rob me.
he does live in New York. I feel bad for you, Kim. So Javier says, how do you adjust? Hi, Javier, by the way. It's nice to see you again. Oh, Denny Stewart. Good info from everyone. Thank you very much. How do you adjust John Stuckey? How do I get times? All right, so let's go back to Javier. How do you adjust? Are you okay? How do you adjust your game when you have too much adrenaline at the moment? And that comes down to mindfulness, I personally believe. Um, I'm big on mindfulness, and thank you, Ron. Well said to everybody. Great way to explain consistency. Who would like to take over? Does anybody agree that it comes down to being mindful and nothing more than really being mindful?
Not so much being mindful. We all have a physiological response to stressful situations and competition. Be it gambling, be it tournaments, I don't care what it is, just playing a friend. If you're nervous, okay, you're going to have those physiological signs. Your heart's going to be beating faster. Your breathing is going to be shallower, okay?
Right.
And you have to pick up on these. Your body temperature actually changes under stress. What I teach students is breathing techniques, okay? Bringing the oxygen in and out of your body, controlling that. If that's all you can control, you can't control the cue ball, you can't control your opponent, running the table on you. What you can control is you can control your breathing. You could start with your breathing, because once you control your breathing, you can start controlling your thoughts. Okay. The body needs oxygen. The more oxygen you breathe in it goes into your bloodstream, the better you're going to be. If you find yourself slumped over in the chair, sit up, because what you're doing is you're tensing all your muscles right here, leaning over into the chair. If you're too pumped up, you've got to bring yourself down by controlling your breathing. It all starts with that, breathe in, breathe out, make sure it's even, make sure it's a fluid breathing, and clear your mind. Use that as a base point for everything before every match, before every shot. I don't care if before you chalk the cue, make it part of your pre-shot routine to clear your mind and to get your breathing under control, because your breathing's not under control when you're chalking the cue or you're sitting in the chair. When you get over that cue ball, you're not going to have control over anything.
I would like to add to what David's saying, that in the middle of a match or middle of a game, there's a time when you make that totally awesome, incredible Efren Z shot. Your adrenaline starts pumping so much, you have to step away from the table. You got to breathe and you got to settle yourself down before you shoot the next shot. How many times have I heard people say, oh, I make the incredibly hard shot and then I miss the easy one behind it.
Yeah.
That's the reason why.
Yep.
Very good, Dave.
Yeah,
Thank
very true. Very true. Very true.
I want to hear Kim. Kim, what do you got on this?
Yeah, so what I found is, deep rooted in our, unevolved brain, we still have this fight or flight response from chasing dinosaurs. And so, no, I'm just kidding. There was no humans during dinosaurs, but I'm not an expert on that subject. But what I do know is we've got this fight or flight response. And so we can't tell the difference on a deep core level, the difference between an uncomfortable shot and a grizzly bear chasing us. And if you're the type of person that is a fighter, you're going to tighten up that grip. You're going to give the hand of death. And that's where that problem is going to be. If you're the type of person that's a runner, a fighter, you're going to hurry up and get the shot out of the way. I mean, we see that all the time. The shot that we should take more time on, and they actually take a little bit less time on it. And so controlling the breathing, David's idea on that is fantastic. Gloria mentioned mindfulness. Sometimes just redirecting your thoughts. You can't change your feelings, but you can certainly change your thoughts. And if you change your thoughts, you can redirect those feelings. So I'll look around and try to find 5 things I can see, 4 things I can hear, 3 things I can touch, 2 things I can smell, 1 thing I can taste. By the time I finish doing that exercise, I don't even remember what I was all worked up about. So I hope that helps somebody.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
I like that.
I've actually tried. I've actually tried that. For me, I mean, there's a lot of people don't understand, but there's definitely that medical. We talk about the fight or flight response, and there is the parasympathetic nervous system is actually what kicks that fight or flight response in, and there's internal stressors and external stressors. So the internal stressor is one thing, and then as we start to get down on the shot, the internal stressor, if we focus on, instead of making the shot, now we're focused on, are we shaking? Are we not breathing properly? Like we start to get nervous and fidgety. There's the external stressor. And what that will do, that will take away the thought that you originally had in the beginning on making the shot, and it will veer you to a totally different place. If you're thinking about one thing, just say that you're thinking about taking that 8-ball in the side as opposed to straight up, because now you're at a tweener stage. So the 8-ball is sitting here and you're not really sure. You need to be A, mindful. You need to be B, calm, and you need to be C, most important, decisive. Allow yourself to be in that precious present moment at that time. Be decisive while you're down there. Make sure that you're going to take that particular shot. Don't second guess yourself for a single second. And that helps you. Sometimes when I get really nervous or get the 9-ballitis feeling, I would do something that Kim and I had talked about, even previous to Kim, and I would picture another ball after the 9-ball. And I don't know who would agree with me after that, but I would think about playing for a ball right there in the middle of the table that can go in any pocket after I make the 9-ball. Does anybody have any thoughts about that at all? When it comes to, please.
I do. In our school, we have a complete workshop that we call the choke syndromes. These gentlemen just covered it in Gloria Jean. But we go further in not how to correct them, but what causes them. And we find that there's two major causes of the adrenaline. Number one, here you are playing along and you change your routine. The minute you change your routine, what did Tim just say, huh? You change your routine, now your body goes into what? A fight or flight, or I don't know, you're not decisive, are you? So you have to be able to stand back and have what we call this adrenaline wash that David talked about. You have to wash that adrenaline out of your system. Now, there's another way that this happens, and this is in real life. You walk around a corner and there's somebody with a gun in your face. I can turn around and take a deep adrenaline wash, but when I turn back around, that gun is still in my face. So there's different things that trigger this adrenaline, which triggers mistakes in your regular routines. I think that martial arts teaches this to a T. I spent 12 years in martial arts, and I learned more there than I've learned in listening to instructors. I mean, martial arts is all about life. So, yeah, you break your routine, you're gonna get, what Kim say, hand to death, and it all happens in a heartbeat. And you can wash that away, but you can't wash away that gun in your face, or the minute that car hits you in the side, you're full of adrenaline. And I presume, and Kim, I'll ask you this, I presume that all of us operate with a little adrenaline. I mean, there must be a level, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm no expert on medical, but I know we run on endorphins. There's all sorts of hormones and chemicals in there, and they're making us run.
So how we control it then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I I do think that changing your thoughts, redirecting your thoughts can redirect your feelings about something. But to your point, to kind of tie in with what Gloria had started saying about choking on that money ball, I want to throw in as far as consistency goes. I mean, imagine you just run 8 balls in a row, all thinking about pocketing and positioning, and all of a sudden you get down to the 9 ball and all you're thinking about is pocketing. Well, there's a change in your routine, right? I mean, that's where it can break down. So what Gloria was saying, I like that about, you know, play that last shot with position, you know.
Yeah.
So it's the same.
Yeah,
Or shoot every ball like a 9 ball.
even if it's the simplest of position, like I said, just put it right there in the center of the table. It goes in any single pocket. You know, if the 9 ball's here on the side and you're here and you're on this angle, hit it. Make believe that the 10 ball is right there in the corner. Just tap it in and play for the 10 ball.
That's one of the biggest pieces of advice we can give all of our listeners is you always play shape, even though there's not another ball to play shape on.
That's right.
Keep your routine.
Play for the center of the table. There's no pockets there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good place to send the cue.
If I could add one thing to that, I was watching I think it was Pool on ESPN or something like that. It was a match with Jason Shaw, who just won his 9th Turning Stone event. But what made this special was they showed what Jason does before a match is he gets on the treadmill. And what he does is he'll sit there and he'll run on the treadmill. Not because he wants to run in a marathon or anything, but what he explained is he's trying to get rid of all that nervous energy, okay, that might come up when he gets to his match. And, you know, when I was a younger player, I used to get in the pool and swim laps if I had that available to me. And it works. It works. So, you know, anything that you can do to get some of that nervous energy or that adrenaline under control, find what works for you and then go with it.
Yep.
I can personally say, I mean, I was never the great player by any stretch of the imagination, but I can honestly say that I used to, I had a routine, talk about routines, and mine was to get X amount of hours of sleep the night before, drink X amount of water, and I would always be consistent, stretch, even if I didn't feel I needed to, I would still stretch. I would always sit in the corner in the back and I would do some breathing techniques, and I would do the same amount of seconds in and out, and I would do just some slight meditation to calm my system down, and then I would go into my match feeling calm and refreshed as though I've just woken up. And that was what would work for me personally. And I also think, and this is going to sound odd, but I also think that eating the right carbs because there are some people that eat during regular matches. I'm not talking about like huge matches, but eating the right types of foods will make a significant difference as well. Sugars, different types of sugars, different types of starches, they throw your body off completely. So I think that eating right is really important as well. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that too much.
Garbage in, garbage out. If you fill your body with garbage, that's all that's going to come out.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
be mindful. I do this too. I do it with golf balls. I don't always do it with pool balls. Okay. But it's the same thing. If you know what this does is it hits a lot of the pressure points in your body. Okay.
Really?
It'll actually calm you down. Okay. And I do this with pool balls. I've done it with golf balls. I could do it with ping pong balls. When I first started doing it, the ones I had were, they have these little ringers in them, these little bells. So I couldn't bring those to the pool hall. So I started getting golf balls, and I started doing this during my matches. And people look at you funny every once in a while, you know, because you're doing something crazy like that. But if it works for you and you're not doing it to shark anybody, make it work for you. You know, it's a little tip, you know.
Totally.
I think we're probably gonna wrap it up in just it's 7:25 now. What time did we start? It's about 6. So Kyle asks if you cannot adrenaline wash the situation, afraid of the shot, gun in your face, what do you use to calm yourself? Garbage in, garbage out. Same with your brain. Try to stay mentally positive. Oh, absolutely. That's one of the biggest. Oh, that's so huge, Kyle. I'm happy that you said that. Because as soon as we believe what we tell ourselves. We believe what we tell ourselves 100%. If we tell ourselves that it's too difficult to shot, we're going to believe it's too difficult to shot. And our muscle memory and our mind, they're not working together. And if they're not working together, nothing's happening.
You're not responsible for that first negative thought that comes into your head.
You
'Cause
are
they're gonna-
responsible. You are
you can't stop
responsible
them.
thereafter, though.
But you're responsible for the entertaining of that thought.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Because positive thoughts, and I made a video on this several years ago. Positive thoughts breed like jackrabbits, the same way that negative thoughts do. Okay. Each one comes with a tidal wave. You have to know how to stop that up in here. I call this the coconut. Mine kind of looks like a coconut, but you have no control what exists outside of the coconut. You have no control over that, but you do have control over everything that comes in here through sight, sound, smell, taste. You have control over it, and you have to keep guard on what comes in your mind. So when you get that first negative thought, you have to, that's what you need to do. When people say, how do I prepare mentally for a match? How do I practice the mental game? That's what you do, because you miss shots during practice. How are you deal with missed shots during practice? You have to, not everything's going to go right in competition. You have to be prepared for anything that's going to happen. So like I said, that first negative thought that comes in, you got to have a watch guard up there. I call it the committee. You got a committee up there. Okay. And it's a coaching staff. And some of us have negative voices up there that tell us all these bad things about what's going on. And you need to fire those voices and get some positive ones up there. I've told Buddy Hall one time, I said, yeah, I got you doing commentary up in my mind as I'm walking around the table. And he looked at me like I was crazy, and then he laughed. But it was the God's honest truth. I found his voice very soothing, and all I could hear is stay in line and don't get caught behind anything.
Oh,
That's
for
a
Buddy,
buddy.
that's easy.
That's a buddy thing, right?
Yeah.
So I would use that, and I would use that in my head. But you know what? A lot of us, we're calling ourselves names. We're cussing at the cue ball, and we're pointing fingers, and it doesn't work. And we've all seen that, and we've all experienced that. But we can all stop it too. It's you're gonna have bad days out there. Missing shots, that's part of being a pool player. Get used to it. That's, find a way to deal with it, and find a way to get back up on that horse, and get out there. And, like I said, I use breathing techniques. I use anything that I can find, anything I can steal. Like I'm going to steal that wallet thing from Kim here, and he's going to see me, talking about it somewhere down the road. But, I love doing that, because you know what, that's what we're here for. We're here to help each other, become better players, and not just better players, better people,
Oh, that's nice. That's nice to know, because we're always people. It's really nice to be a good person as well, to be a kind person, to be a good person. And when we're all bereft at some point, and I can honestly say that I've sat in the chair and gone, oh wow, I hope she misses that. Horrible. But you know what? It's all part of the game. It's all part of the game. But at the end, win or lose, I will always shake my opponent's hand or give my opponent a hug, and say congratulations and wholeheartedly mean it. Because if I lost, it wasn't her fault or his fault. I have to look back and see what mistakes I made to get me where I am, and that's on the one loss side or out the door. People here are talking about the inner game of tennis. Scott, I'm sorry if I'm chopping your name. Looks like Strubble, and Timothy Morris. Timothy Morris said Kim Young recommended it. And thank you for the stars, very, very much. I can't see who sent it. Robert, thank you very much, Robert, for the stars. Much appreciated. All right, so I guess we're gonna close out. So if there's one thing that you could, if there's one drill to look up for someone, and now they can still take the drill, practice the drill, and practice it incorrectly, right? So suggestion would be going to the PBIA site and checking out for an instructor in your area. Kim does virtuals. David, I believe, also can be reached. Steve travels. I've seen him travel to North Carolina, like, for groups. I'm sure just get in touch with these gentlemen. Randy will fly out to Japan if the price is right, and there's enough people. And I myself, I'm just starting, but I'll try virtual as well. I remember just recently Kim helped somebody in about, honestly, it was under 5 minutes, and I got the two of them in touch on a call. You were able to see on a video call, and sure enough, the problems that he was having, I gave him an hour lesson. Kim fixed it in under 5 minutes, and he was running, out, and he's like, oh, now I'm like basically kind of like in a first place. And it was like amazing to see what one small adjustment could do for your entire game. So if you have a drill or a site or something that you would like somebody to watch, feel free to put it up. You know what? Can we put up the cards that I made?
I was going to put them up at the end. That way people and
Okay.
they'll know exactly where to go.
Are we able to talk about the most important drill of all time, or is that like a secret? Kind of like a secret, right?
Well, the most important drill of all time is depends on what you're drilling. I mean, before the cue ball, after the cue ball. Steve and I teach the mother drill number 1. That's probably the bloodline of all drills.
When I thought of.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So, in parting, I would like to give our listeners a thought here. While the inner game of tennis is a really good book to read, there's a much better book to read by Bob Fancher, and it's called The Pleasures of Small Motions, and it's all about how pool you have to switch between the two sides of the brain. It's a tremendous book to read to calm yourself down, to get into routines. Pleasures of Small Motions.
Thank you very much.
That's
I appreciate that.
definitely a fantastic
Sure.
book to
I've got this one here. It's by Robert Nidifer.
There we go.
It's called Sight to Win. It's got a lot of great stuff in here. It's not about tennis, even though there's a tennis player on there. Okay. You can find this on Amazon. You can find it online. It's available in ebook. I've had this book over 20 years. Find whatever you can, whatever works, inner game of tennis has very, very little to do with tennis, in my opinion. I was able to get a lot of great stuff out of that.
Yeah, me too.
Bob Fancher's book is great. Phil Capel's A Mind for Pool. Great book. Great instructor. There's so many different things out there. Not everybody's going to like, reading books or some people want videos and stuff like that. You're not going to like everything that's out there. Not everything's going to fit. Okay. Find what works for you. That's my message today. You know,
Different strokes for different folks.
exactly.
Okay. Steve?
Well, if I got one thought that I'd like to make sure people understand, it is if you love this game, never quit learning. Keep at it. And I'm looking at 3 of my peers here, and between the 4 of us, I almost hate to say it, but we got 150 years of experience sitting here right now. And you saw David learn something from Kim during this program. We don't stop learning. We've been doing this forever and we're still learning. We don't know what we don't know. So there's always something new to be learned. So if you're an avid player, I encourage you to become a serious student of the game and learn at every opportunity.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Very, very well put. Very, very well put. Kim, please.
Just building on top of what Steve was saying, have fun learning. For all the wonderful things about pool, I think I started off by mentioning I enjoy teaching pool more than I enjoy playing pool. And the thing I love possibly almost the same as much as teaching pool is learning about pool. So make sure that you're staying fun and stay humble, because you can get your ass kicked by anybody out there. So have fun, stay humble, and never stop learning, like Steve said.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I hope that at least 1 or 2 people walked away with at least 1 or 2 things. If you want these to continue, please let me know. I plan on having these as often as I can. We're going to have this is, I don't want to say this is the original panel, but these are the people along with Charles the inventor Lakey, that I invited on. I think that everybody here has something unique to offer you. Okay. And I want you to feel as though you can go to each and every one of them. And I'm sure that you'll feel comfortable. If not, you can go to the PBIA website. And
Play better pool.
Thank you, because I had lost it in that moment. Thank you very much.
Playbetterbilliards.com.
Is that what Play Better?
Play Better Billiards.
Yep. And I remember it was Play Better, and it just, I lost it. And go there, and you'll be able to find someone in your area. If you like what someone has said here, 3 pages of notes here. Awesome show. Thank you, Kyle. You'll be able to find somebody in your area. You know.
You want me to pop it up on the screen now? And
Yes, that'd be great. I'm just gonna throw up. I had to make these today with like just a few moments left because we didn't have like business cards, so to speak. So don't make fun of these, anybody who's watching. Okay. I don't know if anybody else, if the guys can see them at the very end. I'll show you on my phone. So hold on 1 second. So they're right there. I made these little cards, if you could see right there. And what it has is a picture of each and every one of you, your certification. So PBIA Master Instructor, ACS Level 4 Instructor, Dragon Billiards, and then a phone number if you gave it to me. Randy has his name along with ACS, PBIA, SPS, that's set, pause, finish, freeze, etc. And you know, if you want to contact them, go back to this portion here.
And I'll put it at the very end too.
Yeah. We are at the very end.
Well, no.
Yeah, I can close it out with that, sure. And see if you fit, because you might fit when it comes to your needs, but you might not be synergistic in fit and personality. And that's why there are so many of us well across the United States. Someone may want a male, someone may want a female. You don't know. Someone may feel comfortable with someone who's younger or older. So make sure that you find somebody that you feel comfortable with. Okay.
Pops and I vote for older.
Well,
Well,
I'm
you
not
don't want to
too far
get too
behind.
far there.
I'm not too
What
far
what I
behind.
vote for is with consistency that the entire world's not going to rob me the same way.
Yeah.
What is that?
What I'm looking for with consistency is the whole world doesn't now rob me exactly the same way like David.
Yeah, and I want to talk about consistency at another point in my own analogy, which we'll do probably the next show, because my point on consistency is people wanting to lose weight, and I'm not going to get into it big now, but someone wants to lose weight and they want to lose 10 pounds at the end of the week. 10 pounds at the end of the month. If you are eating 2,000 calories one day, 2,100 calories another day, if you're going to vary in the calories you eat per day, that may have an effect on the variable of how much you drink. Now, water weight's another variable, but I'm going to get into that another time. The less variables, the less room for error. That's basically what it boils down to.
Simplicity.
It's strictly that.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's it.
So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and we'll be back. The greatest way that you could if you've learned something, help us out is referring, having a session with one of us, referring someone to us, sharing this so that this level up really gets out there. There are a bunch of people who don't know where to start. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you a beginning and introduce you to icons here in the industry. Not myself, but the people here around me, and say thank you very much, Randy, for being pretty much the godfather of the PBIA. Steve, thank you for all the time that you've put in. David, thank you so much for all the instruction and coaching that you've done. And Kim, the same. I feel the same way exactly about you as I do with everyone else here. Like I said, everyone has something unique, special to bring to the table. And I really do hope that this ends up blowing up and people come here and seek advice from somebody that can help them. All right, so we're going to pop those cards up again. Yeah. And then, gentlemen, I'll send you your card, your personal card to you at the very end so you could have it for yourself. Like I said, I made these in a matter of minutes right before lunch. They're not great, but you can have them. So there they are. So you can see Kim, myself, Randy, David, Steve. All right. Hey, Ron, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And if you want to get in touch with any of them, phone numbers are right there, or email addresses, email and phone numbers.
Gloria?
Level up your game. Yes.
One thing, please. I want to thank you for putting this program together, because we really do appreciate the opportunity to reach out to our students. And personally, I appreciate the opportunity to spend an evening with 4 of my friends. This has been great.
You do a great job, Gloria. You do a great job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that from everybody. I truly do. Humbled. That's all I can say.
I hope
You'll never find me speechless, but I'm close.
I hope the 5 of us are back next time.
Yeah. I think so, and I think Charles will be in as well. Like I said, we all add different things to the game. So everybody, get your notepads out next time. I'm thinking that Kim may do a shot. If Kim wants to, he's more than welcome to do some type of shot next time. He has a table accessible to him. and maybe you can see what someone else would speak about, a specific shot, or how to be mindful, or something of that nature. But in the meantime, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me. And I know that I don't want to say too much, but behind the scenes, we are working on some things, and hoping to get this pushed at a higher level. So everyone, good night. Stay
Thank
safe.
you. Thank
and
you.
Thank you
Have a
all.
good evening.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Be well. We'll see you soon. We'll let you know when the next one's coming. Have a good night.
Good night.